Hi, welcome back to Journey into Stories. Today, I'm going to do my reading wrap-up for March 2026. This month, I read a total of 13 books, and we're just going to go down and give you a little synopsis of each one. I also quietly participated in what's known as Middle Grade March that's ran by Kristin from Books and Jams, and from On the Middle Shelf, Amanda, and Life Between Words, Katie. And all three of them do Middle Grade March, and I love that concept. It gives me vibes that no matter what your age is, you can read whatever you want. And so 4 books this month that I read actually were from a favorite author of mine growing up, and so it was fun to read those books. So the first book I want to talk about is Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. We actually did a journey reads on this. We got to go to IKEA, read it in a spooky atmosphere, and I could put the video up here or here, whichever. Had a lot of fun. It was a reread for me. Love Horrorstör, and I gave that 4 stars. And then the next book I read is The Mad Wife by Megan Church. Okay, in a little synopsis. Lulu Mayfield has spent the last 5 years molding herself into the perfect 1950s housewife. Despite the tragic memories that haunt her and the weight of exhausting expectations, she keeps her husband happy, her household running, and her gelatin salads the talk of the neighborhood. But after she gives birth to her second child, Lulu's carefully crafted life begins to unravel. When a new neighbor, Bitsy, moves in, Lulu expects that something darker lurks behind the woman's constant smile. As her fixation on Bitsy deepens, Lulu is drawn into a web of unsettling truths that threaten to expose the cracks in her life. And I'm not going to go into further detail. I went into this book not knowing anything like I enjoy doing. I don't like to know anything about what I'm going to pick up. And there was a moment in this book that my mouth just dropped wide open. I was shocked at what I was reading. It totally did a loop for me. So I gave this book 4 stars. Never read anything by Megan Church, and will definitely read something else in the future. The next book that I read is My Darling Girl by Jennifer McMahon. In this synopsis, a spine-tingling psychological thriller about a woman who, after taking in her dying alcoholic mother, begins to suspect demonic possession is haunting her family. Allison has never been a fan of Christmas, but with it right around the corner and her husband busily decorating their cozy Vermont home, she has no choice but to face it. Then she gets the call. Mavis, Allison's estranged mother, has been diagnosed with cancer and only has weeks to live. She wants to spend her remaining days with her daughter, son-in-law, and 2 granddaughters. But Allison grew up with her mother's alcoholism and violent abuse and is reluctant to unearth these traumatic memories. Still, she eventually agrees to take in Mavis, hoping that she and her mother could finally heal and have the relationship she's always dreamed of. And then mysterious things happen. I really enjoy reading books by this author, Jennifer McMahon. However, this did not vibe with me for some reason. I only gave it 2 stars, didn't really enjoy my time with it. Kind of have forgotten all about this book, to be quite honest, because I did have a really good reading month. But unfortunately, this was a miss for me. I only gave it 2 stars, and it's rated 3.7. Okay, the next book is The Good Neighbors by Kristin Moglen. And this is Good Neighbors invite you over to dinner, bring you baked goods to welcome you to the neighborhood, and wave hello at the mailbox. Good neighbors do not destroy your life. When Bryant and Harper Page moved to Lancaster Mills, their first encounter with their new neighbors, Jason and Tori Fuller, beautiful, strange, and terrifying, is anything but a warm welcome. Despite their hesitations, the pages are intrigued by the people they now share a street with. As their curiosity gets the best of them, they discover that there's much more to the Fullers than meets the eye. Their new neighbors have secrets that much is obvious, but just how dangerous could they be? With two haunting shadows lingering over their house and lives, the Pages' relationship is tested in every way. What exactly makes a good neighbor and what makes a good neighbor bad? This book I only gave 3 stars. It was, just middle ground for me. Not really anything that stood out, but I do tend to like to read books about neighbors because even the most well-known neighbors to an individual, there's things you just don't know. There's secrets that people have, and there's things that you just don't know. I have found out for myself from certain neighbors that you just never really know. Unfortunately, it was only 3 stars, but I did have fun while I read it. Okay, the next 2 books that I read, the first one, Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, I gave that 5 stars, and Beautiful Ugly by Alice Sweeney, I gave that 4 stars. I'm going to put it here. It was the puppy pick books that they chose for me for the month of March, and really enjoyed my time reading both of those books. So they did good by choosing those Book of the Month books for me. The next book I read, again, she did it again. It was The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. I gave this 5 stars. I've thought about it throughout the whole month. It was such a wonderful read. It's about a family that moves to Alaska. I enjoyed this book because we have been blessed to go to Alaska once and hope to actually drive there someday in the future. We took an Alaskan cruise back in, I think it was 2017. One of my kids chose that for a graduation present. My other kiddo chose a different cruise, Western Caribbean. In our future, we would love to be able to drive an RV to Alaska. That would be a lot of fun. I love this book because Alaska was like its own character, and also the time frame, 1974. I may or may not be from that decade, the 70s. So it was a lot of fun to read about certain things that were happening. So I'm just going to give a little synopsis. Alaska, 1974. Unpredictable, unforgiving, untamed. For a family in crisis, the ultimate test is survival. Ernst Albright, a former POW, comes home from the Vietnam War, a changed, volatile man. When he loses yet another job, he makes an impulsive decision. He will move his family north to Alaska, where they will live off-grid in America's last true frontier. 13-year-old Lenny, a girl coming of age, caught in the riptide of her parents' passionate, stormy relationship, dares to hope that a new land will lead to a better future for her family. She is desperate for a place to belong. Her mother, Cora, will do anything and go anywhere for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. At first, Alaska seems to be the answer to their prayers. In a wild, remote corner of the state, they find a fiercely independent community of strong men and even stronger women. And I don't want to get too much further into the synopsis. It was such a wonderful book. This is the book spotlight for March. March was a really good reading month for me, but I gave this book 5 stars. I have wanted to read it since I discovered the author, Kristin Hannah. I knew it was a very strong storyline with characters, and some people may or may not be triggered by some things that occurred in the book. I would definitely, if you haven't tried out Kristin Hannah as an author, any book that I've read, The Great Alone or The Women, or let me see what else. I want to read The Nightingale next. Oh, The Four Winds. That may be the first book that I started with Kristin Hanna, and I thought, oh my God, she's wonderful. And I've never given any of her books that I've read less than 5 stars. And it just gives you everything. They're so thought about. It gives you everything, glimpses of what was happening in history, what was going on, and they're very educational. You learn a lot if you didn't know about certain topic. This book was no exception. Okay. The next book I got to is a newer release, and it's called It's Not Her by Mary Kubica. And here's a little glimpse into that book. A scream shatters the silence. Courtney Gray's peaceful vacation turns into a nightmare when she discovers her brother and sister-in-law dead in their lakeside cottage. Her niece, Reese, is missing. Her nephew, Wyatt, is asleep upstairs unharmed. A town full of secrets as police swarm the quiet resort. Dark truths about Courtney's family and the town itself begin to surface. Is Reese a victim or a killer? A truth no one saw coming. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I enjoyed this book tremendously. I gave it 4 stars. Highly recommend it. Again, Mary Kubica is an author that I enjoy reading all of her books. Okay, the next book I got to is called You'll Never Know by Caleb Stevens. Brand new author to me. Don't own a book by this author. Highly considering buying this to put it on my bookshelf. I gave it 5 stars. When his wife and unborn child are abducted, Grant Wilson races against the clock in his pulse-pounding thriller packed with riddles, danger, and the desperate fight to save his family. Perfect for fans of Adrian McKenty's The Chain. They took his wife, they took his child. He only has hours to find them, or they're dead. I'm not going to say anything else. This book was so good. It has stuck with me. Again, it was a jaw-dropping book. Couldn't believe where it went. Highly recommend this book. Gave it 5 stars. Loved it. Okay, and then again, I quietly, on my own, participated in Middle Grade March. Again, I love the idea that no matter what your age is, you can read whatever basically makes you happy. And it's always such a nice feeling to go back to read brand new books to me or reread books from my younger years. So the author that I read 4 of her books, Judy Blume. The first one is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And there's not really a lot of things to say about these books. They're short, they're sweet. I gave that 4 stars. If you haven't read any Judy Blume books, go pick something up by her. The second one was Blubber by Judy Blume. I only gave that 3 stars. That was the hardest one for me to read. I don't know. It was hard seeing the bullying and things like that. The next one, Then Again, Maybe I Won't. I gave that 4 stars. And Deanie, Judy Blume, 4 stars. So those were the 4 middle grade books that I read. They're short, they're sweet, they're, a lot of fun. I own them on my bookshelves, but I actually listen to them on audio. I think they were only couple hours each one. Talk about quite a bit of what happens to your body and your mind, and really good books that kind of stick with you to this day. Pretty much any adolescent kid would be able to understand what's going on. So those are the books that I got to this month. Really great reading month for me. Again, that's it. Hopefully April I'll be able to get to more great books. And with that, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're being kind to yourself. It's so important. Take care of yourself. Be kind. Take care of one another. And until the next video, guys, bye. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.